Good evening. Thanks for joining us. The work continues in Manitowoc County today to find 3-year-old Elijah Vu.
We reported authorities activated an Amber Alert out of Two Rivers on February 20th. Now, this photo of Elijah is being circulated everywhere. The FBI says he weighs between 45 and 50 pounds, has brown hair and brown eyes.
Brittany Schmidt is in Two Rivers tonight with the latest on the situation there.
Bill and Cammy, we learned late this afternoon that Elijah's mother, Katrina Bauer, is asking for the courts to change her bond because she can't pay it. Her defense attorney filed a document today asking to reduce her $15,000 cash bond to a signature bond. She's been in custody since last week, along with her boyfriend Jesse Vang, who reported Elijah missing. The community remains laser focused on the task at hand to find the missing little boy. Investigators expanded urban and rural neighborhood canvases and continued searches of local waterways and along the shoreline. Canine units also rechecked various areas. While the hours tick by and the days seem to pass quickly with no sign of Elijah, a retired FBI agent who spent his career investigating crimes against children tells me police are nowhere near done with their work, but it clearly weighs on them. During the press conference earlier this week, the Two Rivers police chief was passionate about making clear their only main priority is finding Elijah. And the Manitowoc County Sheriff got emotional when talking about the search. David Fallon tells me investigators on the case know how to push past their emotions in an ever-changing investigation.
And then once that slows down after a period of time where we're not finding the child, we have other things that we can do as well. We will certainly look at victimology, we'll look at family dynamics, we'll exploit any type of electronic media, we'll exploit social media. There's a lot of things that can be done in the case, and the training that is provided to law enforcement encompasses all of that.
Bauer and Vang are expected back in court next week. In the meantime, anyone with information is asked to call the police. No tip is too small. Reporting in Two Rivers, Brittany Schmidt, Action 2 News.
Here's Elijah Vu's photo. Once again, police have set up an online donation option for people who do want to contribute to a reward fund or investigation costs. We have a link to get you started on that. You can find all the information at WBAY.com.